Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our first school committee meeting of this new academic year. Welcome back, or welcome to Ashland if it's your first time, and welcome back to all of you. In some ways, it feels like we never left, and in other ways, it feels like it's been a while. We have a new student rep, and so since it's our first meeting, some of us haven't even met each other yet, so we're going to all introduce ourselves to you and to each other, and then we will get the meeting started. So first, I would like to welcome you. I don't even know your name yet. My name is Lori Tosti. I'm the chair, and I'll have everybody else introduce themselves after you do, but tell us who you are and something about yourself.
Great. Okay, so let's see if this is working. So my name is Abhishek Karthik, and I'm a junior, and I'm the student rep for this year's school committee. So
Awesome.
I'm very excited to be a part of this, and looking forward to a good year.
Well, welcome. We're so happy to have you, and if anyone hasn't told you already, I mean, we welcome you to as many meetings as you can get to. We understand you're a student, so if you ever have like something pressing for school and you can't be here, we understand. But we certainly appreciate your input when you're here. We actually value it.
Yeah.
So please participate as often as you'd like. And I'm going to have everyone introduce ourselves, so you can.
Hello, Chris Matthew, Director of Finance and Operations for the school district.
Hi, I'm Marcy Culverwell. Oh, you're on. I was on, but I'm not close enough.
I'm Tina Fatanides.
I'm Mark Terry, also known as Caden Matthews' dad.
And have you guys all met? Yes. Okay.
But what about Mr. Kendall online?
Mr. Kendall? That's Paul
Paul
Kendall.
Kendall,
He is the
member.
fifth member of our school committee, and he's going to be virtual tonight. We still have a virtual
Are you able to hear me,
option.
or
Can you hear us, Paul?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Awesome. I can hear you now.
Okay. Hi, Paul Kendall.
Hi.
I also chair the Mendez School Building Committee.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul. Okay, we have a lot to get through this evening. I start every meeting by reading our school mission and vision and reading the topics on the agenda for the evening. So I'll start by telling you what our school vision is. Ashland Public Schools strives to be a model district that creates a culture of inclusivity for our diverse students and staff who feel safe and supported, are empowered with the academic and social-emotional skills to pursue their chosen path, and embrace their roles as positive contributors to local and global communities. This meeting is being recorded by WACA Cable TV. Our call to order this evening includes opening procedures, agenda review, and adoption. We will have some time for public participation, if there's anybody here tonight wanting to give public comment. And our topics are as follows: reports and presentations, student presentations. We have the high school cross-country team building retreat, WACA Mendez Award, Director of Student Services, the launch program, and the start of the 2024-2025 school year, superintendent's report, assistant superintendent's report. Our consent agenda includes the June 12th, 2024 minutes, July 23rd, 2024 minutes, warrant approvals, Titles 1, 2, 3, and 4A grants, student activity accounts, bank reconciliation July 2024, gifts and donations. Our action items and discussion updates include first read of some policies, ACAB, sexual harassment, ADF wellness, JLCEDR guidelines for management of life-threatening allergies. And then the next topic is appoint superintendent to the board of directors for the Accept Collaborative. We will have reports of school committee members, and then when we will adjourn, so that now I'll just take attendance and ask all the school committee members if we are okay with the agenda this evening. I'll start with you, Mr. Kendall.
Yep, I'm good with it.
Okay. Marcy?
I'm good.
Tina?
Yes.
Yep.
Mark? Okay. I will start by asking if there's anybody here from the public that's here to give comment this evening. And then seeing none, we'll move right into our student presentations. We've got the Ashland High School Cross Country Team Building Retreat. Yes, you should be.
Hi, I'm Sharon.
And you've got a
Ames.
whole crew with you, Sharon.
I do have, Coach Brinegar, John, and I, and Emily have asked our cross-country captains to speak of our cross-country preseason camp. And I would like to say first annual because we felt it was such a success. So, guys, come on.
Welcome, everybody.
I got it here, Sharon. So just, you
okay.
just tell me when to click.
All right, click. Slide. Yep. All right.
Hi.
All right, everyone, or just me? All right. Hello, I'm David Sunyuk. I am a captain of the cross-country team, and I'm a senior. Gotta move it here. Over Labor Day weekend, this past Labor Day, the team went up to Vermont to one of our coaches, Coach Riley's parents' property. We had loads of transportation there with parents and coaches, very efficient, worked smoothly, got our stuff there. Once we got there, we set up, had the tents, as you can see there, very better than I thought it would be. We actually got them out pretty good, and they were all pretty stable, and nothing happened with them, so that was pretty awesome. Yeah, and throughout the weekend, we ran, hiked, swam, other various activities and sports. We made fires, cooked, ate a lot, and I mean, to the core of it, we socialized with each other and bonded deeply as a team.
Thank you. Awesome.
Hello, I'm Will, captain of the cross-country team, and I'm talking about the runs that we did. So the day that we got there, we didn't run because we ran before we left, but the day after that, we had a 6x800 workout at Thetford Academy, and just like there's a beautiful like trails and like mountains everywhere. It was a fun workout for the whole team. And then we came back, and then we like played cornhole and a frisbee in the backyard. And then the next day, we had a 6-mile easy long run on on a road, like soft gravel road, beautiful in general. So I think everyone really enjoyed that, and I think everyone benefited from it as well. So.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Garrett Wolfram, and I'm also captain. On the second day we were there, we went on a hike as a team, and it was just on a nearby mountain, a short distance away. Once we got there, I mean, it was a beautiful hike. The trails were great, and I think that not only was it a good experience for team bonding, it was also just good as a workout for the whole team. I mean, it was a long hike. But once the fog cleared, you can't really see it in that that photo on the right, but the view is beautiful from up there. It was a great part of the weekend. Also, on the last day, a lot of people got up early in the morning to go for a short hike to up a nearby hill to watch the sunrise, which was also a very beautiful experience. Just great for the team, I think.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Kristen Verghese, and a senior at Ashland High School and also a captain. And obviously the best part of the trip was the running and hiking, but we also did several other activities. We had a movie night in which we watched the movie McFarlane USA, and this inspired this entire team, especially to run as fast as they could for the workout the next morning. We also had a talent show, which tightened the team's bond so much, and every single one of the team members that went on the trip participated, and we performed a bunch of fun showcases such as dances, songs, and skits too. And we also took a couple visits to the lake, which was very refreshing, and everyone had a smile on their face the whole time. And on Sunday, we even got to visit Dartmouth College for the juniors and seniors who are thinking about college, which was very educational, and we got to see the town, which was nice as well. And I haven't heard a single complaint about the trip, and it was a lot of fun, and everyone had a blast.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jane Goss. I'm a junior, and I'm also one of the girls' captains. While we were camping, we also had everyone on the team contribute to the meal prep and the cooking. So all of the members of our team were randomly split into 3 separate groups. Each group was like 7 to 8 people, and then each group was responsible for 1 breakfast, 1 lunch, and then 1 dinner over the course of the trip. And then, so the groups were responsible for like cleaning tables, setting out plates, utensils, helping in the kitchen, and cleaning up at the end. People were also put in random groups, not with their friends, which all helped us like bond more and know each other better. So for example, like the day that we had like pasta for dinner, some people were helping cook, some people were helping put out plates, utensils, some people were focused on cleaning. So overall, like dividing up the responsibility for the meals, in my opinion, helped us all like first of all get to know each other better. Plus, we got to really practice communication and teamwork outside of just practice and at the meets while we're running. So.
Awesome, thank you.
Oh, nobody talked about the.
There's the talent show, sorry.
Yeah, that's the talent show.
So fortunately, there's.
Oh, there's like meal prep, so we had some veggies.
Healthy meals.
Beautiful.
That's like some more meal prep. We played a lot of cornhole. We, in the bottom right or left there, we're doing some yoga.
There's the
Movie. Yeah. That was the sunrise hike.
That was the sunrise hike, but these guys, we left camp at 5:30 in the morning, so they really embraced all of the activities. There's one of our views.
Beautiful.
And yeah, so, you know, fortunately for us, I honestly have to say that it was a cross between camping and glamping, because we did have the benefit of the Grossman's home. So they took everything in and put things through the dishwasher and whatnot, but everybody, as you saw, camped outside. We also have to give a shout out to our Eagle Scouts that made fires from flint for our s'mores and whatnot, but I think overall, no triple E, and we came home with everybody. So,
That's a win.
yes. So thank you for the opportunity for allowing this. And as I said, we're hoping this is our first annual to do this in the future. But did you have any questions for us?
Does anyone have questions? Are you, Paul?
I just had one. Was every member of the team able to participate?
Those who wanted to participate could participate, and financial barriers were not a barrier. So,
So what was the participation level? I mean, was it?
we had 23, 50%. So.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Great.
Well, it sounds
Yeah,
like it was
thank
a
you.
great experience,
It
and
was
we
great.
really love when you come back and you tell us all about it. So thanks for coming in, giving us all the great pictures and the information. Have a great school year, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay. WACA Mindes Award. Is that you, Barbara?
Hello, everybody. It's nice to be here. Back in the spring, WACA entered a media contest, which was accepted entries and submissions from media centers throughout the country. Well, we were happy to be awarded first place for 2 awards. And I'm happy to say that both of them were school-related. One was Calling All Kids, which was hosted by former first grade teacher Jennifer Temple, which she did in 2023. These were for entries in 2023, which she did in her classroom. She did a story about Jackie Robinson for Black History Month. The other one, which is the reason why we're here tonight, was a documentary that was hosted by Claudia Bennett and edited and shot by Paul Bowden, which was The Last Day of the Mindes School. So it was a really nice piece, and I have plaques here for you. But before I do that, I want Paul to tell you a little bit about the piece, since he did it.
Well, the piece is first of all, thanks Claudia for hosting it for us last minute. We called her up and said, we have this idea, and she said, fine. And she called the new principal at the school, which I'm sure things were pretty crazy for her that day too. So we did it, and we got great footage of the kids running full speed out of that school at the end of the school day. And they had warned me, I said, where can I get a shot of the kids being exciting because it's the last day of school? And she said, stand at this door. And sure enough, they came running full speed, jumped into those buses and left. And then after that, we went on a tour of the school. We talked to some of the teachers that have been there for a long time. And we saw the gymnasium, and we saw the auditorium. We got shots of that, shots of the shops, and all the places that, people might want to remember. Even though that building was needed to be replaced, it was a strong building. It had a lot of memories for a lot of people, I think. So hopefully we captured some of that. And then we followed the story. We got some drone footage as they tore down the Mendez School and opened up the building, and it's, such a giant job. And then it finally ended with the beam raising when you guys opened, or got near the end of the construction process. And then actually the real end was we had opening day at the Mendez School too. I almost forgot about that. So yeah, so this award is not for Ashland Cable. It's really for everyone here that worked on the whole project throughout the thing.
It was a nice piece as a memory of a classic building that is no longer here. But before I give out these plaques, I'm going to have John, our board president, give out the plaques to Jim, and one for Jenna, who I don't know if she's here, but she's not. I will let you get it to her. So.
Well, Mr. Adams, before we give you this award, one thing I also wanted to put into your, with the demise of local newspapers, I've been doing this long enough that I remember there used to be a reporter in the room every meeting. What we've tasked at WACA is to replace that missing piece of public media now. And as much as I used to love to torture my boys when they were looking at Twitter accounts on snowy mornings and going, is Mr. Adams going to close school? Is Mr. Adams going to close school? I can't think of nobody better than Mr. Adams to start doing a podcast. Because WACA, we're starting to really increase our portfolio, not even just for municipal government, but for all businesses and anybody around. So we're extending the invitation tonight that you start coming doing, I don't know, let's call it the Adams Report or something like that. But you've always had a good knack with the community. You've always had a good knack with the kids, and I couldn't think of another person better. Or, more importantly, knowing most of the people sitting at the table, if anybody here is also interested in doing a podcast. And I especially think that maybe something from the athletic department would be well received as well, too. So with that, you have an open invitation. You can work with Barbara and Paul on that. I strongly encourage it. If anybody's out in the audience and they think that they want to do a podcast as well, we can do that. But I know you have a busy agenda tonight, so we just want to come out and we give you this award. And then maybe Paul can get a picture. So the Hometown Media Award winner, last day of the Mendez School. So congratulations. Thank you for everything you do for the community. Nice job.
Thank you guys for everything you do. It's so nice to see your familiar faces year after year after year. It's a great community, and it's great work that you do all the time. I don't know if anybody else has any questions.
We'll get the link.
Yeah, we'd love to see it. But congratulations. You do excellent work all the time, and we've seen it year after year. Thank you for everything you do. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, next up, Brittany. Thank you so much. Yeah, the crew, the launch crew.
Yep. Great, so.
I met some of you last week in your classroom.
Yeah.
Mark and I think Paul got a chance to go in there as well.
What's that? Oh, I thought you said something. So this year is the start of the 18 through the 22 program in Ashland, and this is our first group of excellent young adults who've been working with Cassie as the lead teacher and Yara as the support professional, working to get community experience and our awesome young adults involved in the community as many opportunities as possible. So obviously, being that it's only September, we're slowly rolling out some of our community connections with as many people as possible, and Cassia has really taken the lead in order to do that. From all of the community response we've received so far, it's been very positively received, and everybody that we connect out with is very eager to have us participate in some capacity. Some capacities I think we're not quite prepared for in terms of some of the requests that have come through, but Cassie has been really, really great in making sure that it's meaningful and supportive of the young adults that are here before me. I can't thank the crew of parents enough that are here and have got our young adults here tonight. Francine in particular, who, sorry Francine, name dropping, Hurricane Francine, as she likes to be referred to, in participating in all of our parent meetings with people in the community who I selected to outreach in terms of program development and really getting parental input in what they need. You know, as Francine, I think, is so comfortably vocal with us in the right way, encourage, you know, our other parents to do the same if ever they want something better, more, or differently of us in the program to support this fine group of young adults that are in front of us. So it's really, really been awesome. We're going to be doing a open house on the 27th, and the school committee will be invited as well as parents. We can't have too big of a group because the space, although it is giant, is not capable of housing many, many people all at once. So I will let Cassia take the lead and our adults here on some of the slides.
Actually, just tell me when you want me to push the next.
Okay. So we have put together some photos of our space at the middle school. So you want to talk about, Sophia, some of the things that we have in our classroom?
Our center is an space, office space, kitchen area, and living area.
Perfect. Yeah, our classroom is set up just almost like an apartment minus the bedroom. We have laundry, we have refrigerators, stoves, microwaves. We have basically done a wedding registry, so we have all the plates and pots, so we are ready to cook and work on all of our daily living skills. So we can go to the next slide. Well, our pictures aren't showing.
Yeah, they're not showing up. Oh.
There. Oh, whoops. That's all right. So Marcos, do you want to talk about one of the internships that we do, where we go?
All right. We have a daily cafe prep, restocking items, cleaning services, and other tasks as needed, assigned.
Yeah.
Assigned.
And where do we do our labeling and prepping on the cups?
Put some stickers.
At which business?
Ashland Nutrition.
Yes, yeah. So one of the internships that we do in the community is we go to Ashland Nutrition. We help get their cups and their labels ready. We help refill water. Jose, you want to come help with our next one?
Yeah.
Okay, Jose, do you remember where this one is?
Pant.
And? More. Putts
More.
and more. So what's something that we do right here? What do we get?
Agua.
Agua. We get the water, and we have to help, we have to do the plants and all the flowers, right?
Why?
And what was Sophia restocking? What was she putting in the refrigerator?
Agua.
Yeah, more agua and other drinks. So in the back they have a kitchen area. So we help to restock their refrigerator. And then you can't see you on this picture, but you're helping the tables. What do we do with the tables and the chairs for the customers? We help to
cleaning.
Cleaning, yes. We make sure everything's clean for the customers and ready. Excellent. All right, Sophia, you want to help us with our next one? Okay. What's our next business that we go to for our internships?
We're going to this Dr. Green's.
Dr. Green's in town. What's some of the things? What's your favorite job when we go to Dr. Green's?
Testing the screen.
Test the screens. You want to read the other ones?
Clean air, wipe it down the counters.
Yep.
Service. And carpet sweep. hunting and scholarship,
Sure, yeah.
hunting and station, and wall paper rules.
The towels, yes. So Sophia's favorite job is when we get to test the screens. We have to make sure they work, so we get to sometimes use our golf clubs that are there. Sometimes there's different games like cornhole today. She was helping to test the screens, and soccer. But while we're there, we also help cleaning the surfaces and prepping the floors for the customers. All right, let's see what our next internship is. You want to help with this one, Marcos?
Yeah, is restore. Reverse shop, place items onto correct shelves. Shop cleanup and wipe down services.
Yeah, so Restore, we had so much fun. You walk in, there's 10 carts of things that we need to go put back on the shelves, so we're matching where they belong. We're walking through the store and we're making sure that everything's put back in the correct spot. And then while we're there, we also can help with sweeping floors, cleaning surfaces. Yeah, great.
Okay.
While we're, talking about other internships, we are starting to reach out to the other schools in district and how we can help provide some services while we still work on vocational skills and daily living skills. So one thing that we did last week, we went to each of the schools and we were welcomed with warm arms when we came to collect paper to shred. We will never run out of a job, we heard, so we'll try to do that more often. So we went to each of the buildings, we collected, brought back to our office space, and we did some shredding. We're looking into reaching out to the PE departments, seeing if we can help launder any of the pennies or possibly help with uniforms. And then we're also looking into connecting with cafeterias, if we can help with any lunch prep, any kind of restock that they might need, reaching out to the custodial services. We have a meeting this week of just more various jobs that we can start working on, put on their resumes. Yeah. Marcos or Sophia, you guys, Jose, you want to talk about the last one? Some of the places that we've been in the town. Where have we been going?
Ashland State Library, Restore, Shaw's, and
Where'd we go today?
Ashland State Park.
Yeah, we went for a walk outside today, right near your house, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sophia, what was something that you like to do so far that we've done out in the community, a place that we've gone?
On library, I look for screens, looking from the books, from the movies.
That's right. We went to the library. She was using the computer to search up some of her favorite movies and books. Very good. And let's let Jose have a turn. Jose, what are you doing in this picture? Where'd we go here? Yeah, what were you doing in that picture? We went shopping. Yes, we went shopping, and then we got our ingredients from our recipe. We went back to our classroom. Do you remember what we made that day? What did we cook? Some pancakes. Yeah, we had some pancakes that day for lunch. So we were able to make our list before we went to Shaw's, picked up our ingredients, went back, and then that's what we had for lunch that day. Is that the last slide?
Yep.
So we've all been having a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Just gonna
sounds
throw that out
amazing.
there. But it also has been, really meaningful things that we're doing. So we're working on those daily skills, vocational, and we're feeling excited. So thank you.
That's awesome. Does anyone have any questions, comments? Yeah, great job, everybody.
I know, it's
Your
amazing.
room is amazing, and it seems like you're getting out there in the community and learning new skills and meeting people. So thank you for creating such a wonderful program. It looks like it's real success.
And thank you for coming to share, and I hope all of our young adults will come back another time during the year to update us on what you guys have been
Please.
doing.
Yeah. Paul?
We'll bring the pancake.
That would be great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have one more member on, did you have anything you wanted to ask or say, Paul?
No, I'll just repeat what everybody said. I did get a chance to look at the space. It's awesome and a great job for getting this off the ground, and very impressed with our young adults there, and totally excited for the program. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Have a great year,
Thank you.
everybody. Thank you for coming in. Please come again. Yeah.
Thank you to Brittany especially for working so hard to put this together.
Oh,
Agreed.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. And it sounds like she has some good support too, so teamwork.
See you later. So
Awesome.
I'm very jealous of Cassia.
It's, yeah.
She's got the best
Yeah.
crew. And then just overall for us, just the Office of Student Services, we've really been focusing this year on consistent practices with all the special education coordinators and working on finding the most efficient ways to formally collect data across the district. So there's been some research put into supplementary data collection materials like Goal Book, which not only houses data that is transferable from building to building, but also kind of pre-created baseline assessments and continual progress monitoring. So I'm excited to start trying to work with that and seeing if it is a sustainable system to be using for the district to help collect that progress monitoring for our students.
Awesome. Any questions for Brittany?
I think so.
No?
Thank you.
Thanks, Brittany.
Yeah,
so
no
much.
problem.
Appreciate it.
Not a problem. Have a good night.
Good
Thanks, you
stuff.
too. That's great stuff.
Superintendent's report.
So just a few things to start with. You'll probably notice there's just a little different format to the agenda. Certainly, coming out of the retreat, we talked a little bit about the agenda, but making sure that we're having all of the proper information on here, but also I took the liberty to try a different format to see if it looks good. If you don't like it, let me know. I'm going to continue to modify it. But within the folder, I'm going to try to simplify things where you can just click on the links. Like so, all you have to do is click on the link and it'll automatically come up for you through the agenda. Yeah, so that's a work in progress. So here's what I'm going to ask of the committee. Typically, Gretchen tries to post this on a Friday before, and it's really a challenge to get all of the backup documents into the folder. Would you mind if Monday mornings, she can post the agenda, but if Monday morning she shares that folder with you, I can make sure that we have all of the information in there with the links created. I don't know how many of you are actually, looking at it the weekend of or the weekend before. You may start looking at it, but especially when we get into policies, they're long, some of them. So if we can test it on a Monday, so the next meeting, I would really appreciate that.
Of course.
Does that
Hey,
work?
hey, Jim.
Yeah. Paul.
And maybe the bad assumption, but I assume that all of the folders for each meeting are in the similar place. Would it be possible just to share the parent folder with us, and that way, we can go there and get the information but then she can send that email saying, hey, here's this in this folder, this is ready, and that way, we can do both, and it's not a burden to her or you for that stuff.
Yeah, I can do that. I can have her do that. I had to have her share with me the folder itself as well, because I didn't have access to it before. So yeah, we can do that. Yep.
Great.
So let me just continue. Obviously, we haven't had conversation or a meeting since school began. It was a challenging start to the year and has been. And for a variety of reasons, I'm really proud of our administrative team and our teachers and all faculty and staff. We had a good opening day. We spent a lot of time with our safety and our training, which Mike will talk about a little bit, I'm pretty sure. And I just want to emphasize, I don't know how many people will be watching this, but I want this to go on record. We've got to be really cognizant as a community, and our families need to have really good conversations with their students and their children and those under their guardianship. When we hear things or students have a tendency sometimes to think they're joking about something of a nature that could be construed as threatening and or I don't know what the word I'm looking for, where there's this thought that the schools are in danger of any sort of way. Even today, we had a situation at the middle school where a student, thought it was funny to send a text to a friend who wasn't home or wasn't in school about, violence. And what that does is it creates tremendous pressure, confusion, consternation, anxiety within our community. And we have to stop everything we're doing as a community, and we will stop everything we are doing to ensure our kids, our faculty, our staff, and our community is safe. But it is getting early on to the point where some of what is being said and or construed on social media is being done so in a way that some think it's joking and it's okay to do that. And what I'm asking folks is we can't have that. We take this stuff seriously. We will stop immediately. The police will be called, and we will hold folks accountable for what they say and what they do. And we want our schools to be safe. We're spending time and energy to ensure that our students, our faculty, the folks who come into our buildings are indeed safe. But we need assistance from our community, from our parents, from our students, talking to one another. Because then when something happens, if something happens, we need to be able to react appropriately and not have it be, what's the saying about the cried wolf, right? The boy who cried wolf. And we can't have that.
Right.
But we will stop everything. And having constant messaging to a community to say this occurred today. We've investigated. We've taken hours upon our day, which take away from instructional time, is something that is not acceptable. So to say today was another frustrating day, Michael, would be an understatement. We're asking, and I'm asking our community to just consider having conversations at home with your children. Have conversations with your friends. That this is serious stuff, and we want to make sure that we're doing everything possible. That being said, athletics is underway. As you can see, the programming, this is the stuff we need to be celebrating, right? This is the stuff that we need to be excited about. And having, the cross-country team and the launch program, and that's what we want to be, having a conversation about.
Mm-hmm.
So the year is off to a rocky start a little bit. Knock on wood. Buses, well, I'll have a little update, transportation on the next meeting. As always, it's smoother this year than it was last year. But as I've said to folks, give us 3 to 4 weeks of actual bus runs so we know exactly what the timing looks like. So I think that's all I really have for the start of the year. But I look forward to having it become a really positive school year, focusing on students, student well-being, our strategic plan, et cetera. So.
Jim, can I just ask what other, I never know how many people watch this, they certainly I don't think watch a lot on WACA, but stream it later or whatever. What other sort of efforts are we making collectively to try to express the concern and communicate to parents and honestly make sure people are reading those communications?
So really good question, Mark. Friday, we will be having from my office a very detailed email sent to the community that discusses the things that we are focused on and focused on in terms of our programming, the procedures we're doing and undertaking when, if something occurs within our building, some new procedures in terms of coming into our building, in terms of checking in with a new software system that we're using. All of that will be outlined in an email this Friday to the entire community. And in that, certainly I'll have a plea in there that everyone, we notice folks do read those, if they're not every single day.
Yeah.
And we will make sure that that is pushed out not only by me, but by our building principals, because sometimes it's read more at the local level, if you will, if you're students at Warren. But it'll be pretty extensive in terms of, we won't get into specific details of everything we do, but we will say, this is the model we're following. This is the training we went through over the summer that we trained our staff with at the first day, on the first day of school, and that we're continuing on November 5th for our professional development, working with our staff. So.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking,
Well, I was just going to ask, do you think it would be worth putting a link in Michael Herbert's town newsletter too?
Sure.
Given the
100%.
importance to the community,
Yeah,
there may be a way to reach more people.
Yeah, I am having lunch with him tomorrow, so I think that's a great idea. I'll bring it up to him for sure.
I mean, I was also going to suggest, particularly, I think there have been a couple incidents already.
Mm-hmm.
I know there was a police cruiser just being visible when I dropped my daughter off this morning up at the high school. If this is a place for, and I don't want to get into your administrative stuff, it's, your thing, but for the old form, like letter going home, acknowledgement, signing acknowledgement of receipt, I've had the conversation with my kids kind of thing, return the letter. I don't think we do much of that, and I don't think we should be doing much of that, but this is obviously, it's critically important. I think you're asking appropriately for parents to play their part in the process, parents and guardians, to talk with their kid about it and to communicate whatever the consequences might be for the student. And it's though I don't think people realize that kids say things that they shouldn't. It happens all the time, and no matter what kind of conversation you can have, that's always going to happen. But the significance and the disruption that happens is not as simple as a kid getting called down to the principal's office and being told don't do that, right? And you've just outlined for us, sort of just at the high level, what happens when these things occur, and the disruption to learning, the disruption to the community, the anxiety it causes, particularly in this day and age. I just feel like it's the kind of thing you want to bang people in the head with.
I think Mark, Mike leads our safety committee, so I think that's something he can certainly bring up and have that conversation within the group that we have, and that does include APD, AFD. Our admin team members and their facilities. So,
thank you.
Well, the other piece too is obviously, asking, families to take their part and have those conversations. But I know, and this may already be a part of the conversations that happen, especially at the high school level, maybe at the middle school level with, kind of the assemblies that happen with students. And, in terms of, obviously.
They will tomorrow at the middle school.
Right. That's only one piece of the puzzle, of course. But I was just curious in terms of the conversations that are had at that level too.
It will. Mike and I actually had that conversation today. While that was not necessarily something that we had done with class assemblies, it will occur. It needs to occur. We sort of had that conversation today after this. Yeah.
So it seems your response is appropriate, and I
Right.
certainly say I appreciate that.
Sure.
Thank you. So it sounds like it's been a big disruption.
Yeah.
Sorry about.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
We'll deal with it.
So my attempt this year is to streamline the assistant superintendent's report a little bit to make sure I'm providing you the information that you really want to hear. So I have a few different topics that I'll try to touch upon each time. Some will be shorter than others, but just in terms of a general curriculum update, our curriculum leadership meetings, our vertical leadership meetings will start in October. So we once again have vertical leadership teams for ELA, math, and science. And as you know, those are great opportunities for us to get together to make sure that we are aligned and just communicating amongst the different buildings about our expectations and our successes. And this summer, too, we were really proud of it. I think I touched upon this a little bit with you, but we had over 50 curriculum projects that were completed this summer, ranging from Scott Smith doing some work with watercolor, his watercolor curriculum. That was one of the ones that just came to mind right away. And then many others, a lot in the area of English learning this year, and also special education too. So some great things that were accomplished from our staff members this summer. In terms of assessment updates, MCAS data is still embargoed at this time, but we have been doing some initial planning. Teachers and leaders have been looking at the initial data that has been provided to us by the state to be able to pre-plan and to make sure that we're putting things in place for our students to make sure everybody's getting what they need as early as possible. Obviously, since it's embargoed, we can't go public with any of that data right now, but it will be shared with the public as soon as the embargo is lifted. Accountability data was shared with district leadership today. Didn't have a chance to go over it in detail yet, but again, that's also embargoed, but I did have an opportunity to begin the reviewing of that data. We'll be sharing that with our building administrators in the coming days as well.
And when is that information unembargoed?
Typically in the next few weeks, I would say, but it's definitely going to be by mid-October.
And the same with the MCAS?
Yeah. Over the course of the next month, in September into early October, all of our students in grades K through 8 are going to continue to do the assessments that we've been doing over the course of the last 2 years with iReady. So again, everybody K to 8 will be taking our ELA and math diagnostic, which provides us fantastic information about a student's current level, and it allows us to see growth during the year. So those assessments have begun. And also, we will be continuing to do our literacy assessments at the younger grades, particularly DIBELS, to ensure that we are finding any potential. It's our dyslexia screener, so to ensure that we catch any potential flags for children who might be dealing with dyslexia. In terms of educator evaluation, that process has begun. I'm really proud of our building administrators have already gotten out there. We are making that a huge priority this year. We really believe that ed evaluation is an important tool and important process to improving the instructional practices for our entire district. We've made that a real key goal for all of our leaders this year, and they've been out there already. So unannounced observations have begun. I know that they've begun in all buildings, and the initial meetings between teachers and their evaluators have already started in terms of the teacher self-assessment and goal-setting process. So that is well underway at this point. In terms of a professional learning update, as Mr. Adams had alluded to, we had a significant 2-day training in the principles of ALICE, which are protocols and procedures relative to what happens during an event such as an active shooter or some violent event that could take place that could harm others in some way, shape, or form. All of our building administrators, including principals and assistant principals and deans, as well as a variety of district leaders, as well as 3 members of the Ashland Police Force and Captain Moran, I always say her name wrong, Moran of the Ashland Fire Department, were trained in the ALICE principles, and we are now all official ALICE trainers. So what we have done is taken what we learned over the course of those 2 days, and during our opening days with our staff, all staff were trained in ALICE principles. And we are going to continue to work with our staff throughout the year to ensure that everybody is feeling comfortable with these new processes and procedures. As Mr. Adams said, we will be sending out a letter to the community on Friday to introduce ALICE to everyone. We will continue to do that throughout. Students have already been introduced to the concept during the first days with the building leadership. Special education staff participated in a training with Alan Bloom, who's a guest consultant regarding the new IEP. Of note, for some other things that happened, Mendez educators were trained in ST Math. You know that we brought that in this year. It was a success at Warren, so now Mendez has adopted it as well. And this year, all of our ESPs participated in the training. Every year, we we feel like that's one particular group that really needs to get some more relevant training for their particular roles. So they play such an important role in our district. So we had a consultant come in to do some training with those folks, and the basis of it was just to really talk about the different disabilities that impact the students that are in front of us. So while it may have seemed elementary for some of our veteran ESPs, it was great for everyone to better understand who is in front of them every single day, to learn about these different disabilities. We're planning actively our November 5th Professional Development Day. As you know, we have a full day planned for that. Planning is fully underway. Actually, I think the principals are getting less time than they want to do their own thing in the buildings, but we are going to be doing some more significant ALICE training with our staff on the 5th in order to be ready for an ALICE drill that we will do with all of our students by the end of November. And we're also going to be focusing in large part on special education on November 5th. We have a speaker coming in to talk about special education law, and through the collaboration with ASHPAC, we have a group from Easter Seals coming in to give a presentation as well. We're really happy and excited to be able to have them join us for a portion of our November 5th day. Other things, just quickly, the safety committee, which right now is on everybody's mind. We have our first meeting on Friday, the 20th. We have plenty to talk about. And just because the safety committee hasn't met yet doesn't mean we are not talking regularly about safety. It's certainly been the major topic of discussion for all of our administrative team this year. We have adopted a new system and Mr. Adams will be helping to roll out this process on Friday in his email for any visitors entering our buildings. It's called the Raptor technology, and essentially it's going to be a way for our front office staffs to ensure anybody who comes into our building is a person who is safe to enter our building. So this will be the first time I'm letting the community know that you should expect, if you are visiting our building for the first time, to have your ID ready, because we will put it into our system to ensure that you are someone who actually belongs in a public school. Many schools have adopted this a long time ago. We're jumping in, and we're going to begin this process as a district officially on October 1. We are still going through the phase of making sure everybody is fully aware of all the processes and procedures around this. Warren School is an early adopter. They are doing some pilot testing of this for us on not on a 100% basis, but they are looking to see what pitfalls we may incur. So if you are at Warren, if you happen to visit Warren, you may be someone who is asked to put your ID into the Raptor system before we roll it out officially on October 1.
I would say, having been in other school buildings and other school districts, I have one client that does use it now, and it's a little bit clunky at first when you got to enter all your information. The second time you're coming in, it's like a piece of cake.
Yeah.
And then you can see that the tracking in that is so much better than the paper. The paper with the sign in, sign out thing.
It's really going to help us with a lot of different things, including consistency among buildings. I think one of the big things is everybody seems to have a different process for this, and now we will be consistent from pre-K to 12. And finally, we're really excited about a new adoption of Clever. Clever is a technology that is going to allow us to make sure that all of the different software programs that I talk about on a regular basis, Amplify for science and for our DIBBLES, IXL, which is a program that we use at the middle school primarily, iReady. What Clever will do is it works in tangent with IPASS, our student information system, and we no longer will have to manually enter students in classrooms to these different software programs. So Clever will take data from IPASS every night, update things, and it will take a lot of time and energy away from folks who had to spend hours uploading and rostering the different data. It's been a little clunky to start, but I really have to give a public shout out to Bill Mingles of our IT department. He has taken this on, and he has been a true savior in terms of making sure that this is happening smoothly. I know that's a lot, but I'm just trying to make sure you get as much information as you need from me.
Busy.
Yeah.
Don't-
I just wanted to
Sorry,
say
Abby,
to do
yeah.
with Alice. You guys have done a great job with that. I know the second day I came to school, 3-4 teachers told us right out the gates that this is what we should be doing in a lockdown, or if there's a school, or like God forbid something bad were to happen. But it's great that, I mean, I know me and all the other students take the safety we have in our buildings for granted. So it's great that you guys are doing a good job with our school safety.
Thanks, Abhishek.
Thank you, that's good feedback, it's good to know.
I guess there's one thing I did want to share too. I'm just going to pull up my screen for a second. One thing we've been working diligently on is trying to create a calendar for the community that
It's my dream.
create a calendar for the community that is actually active, and it pulls in all of the school calendars as well as a district-wide lens. So it's not 100% perfect yet. We're changing some colors, etc. But if anyone goes to the website and clicks on schools and calendars, you'll see a district web calendar. So it will pull up all of the things that are happening in each school, if it's on a school calendar, into one location. So we've always found a challenge, especially in May, when Mr. Regan's trying to do a playground with popsicles and
Right.
Mendez has got the marathon run or whatever it might be, and families are like, well, you got everything going on the same day. So now it's sort of, when we book it, they can check there before they put it on the calendar. It's just one more layer of communication that we've been struggling with, and we finally, last Friday, I had enough. I called Paul Carpenter and John Lakeview and said, we need to do this right now.
Yeah.
And so the three of us and Esmer worked through it, and within 3 hours, we had it squared away. So I don't know why I didn't do it earlier, but I was just frustrated. So I just wanted to share that with you. So it's there. Okay. That's all I had, Laura.
Excellent. Minutes, next up, June 12th. That was our,
Can I ask just a structural question, because we haven't done this in the past with the consent agenda?
Yeah.
You know, my understanding of consent agendas generally is sort of you take it as a whole unless somebody wants to explore
Right.
any one piece. That said, you know, sort of what we've got, dark, I mean, like Paul's statement that he reads on warrant approvals wouldn't necessarily be subject to a vote. He would, I think, and I assume Paul's still going to read his blurb on expenditures and warrants.
right.
But I didn't know if that was intended. I don't know if we had any conversation about that, about how we wanted to sort of use
We
the
have,
consent
yeah,
agenda.
great question. We have not, and again, I was modeling this agenda after a number of different districts. And I'm certainly, I've seen consent agendas, and we've used them,
Yeah, I
not
think
here,
the
but in-
BOS does, too,
Correct.
yeah.
So the question becomes, we can just call it something different. But the whole notion, these all technically could be, with the exception, I don't know, with the warrant approvals, that we give Paul the ability to just report out.
Right, we don't usually vote on that, so we
Right.
can pull
Right.
that one
We
out
could
and
pull
put
it out,
it
but-
somewhere else.
But all of the other things, here you would have to vote on. for sure.
Yeah, so I think the way boards that use a consent agenda is like a motion to approve the consent agenda, and then everything that's listed is done as one big thing. And then if anybody said, well, wait, I had something on the July 23 minutes, you'd pull that out, vote on the rest of it, and then deal with, right? I mean, is that how we intend to try to use it?
That's how I was intending, but
Okay.
again, it's your agenda as
Yeah,
a board.
it's just-
And again, I can move the warrant somewhere else. I just didn't know, it probably should have been under reports and presentations, to be honest with you, because it's a report out. So can I steal my pen?
I stole your pen.
So I mean, if this works for folks,
Yeah,
I mean, all I'm doing is sliding that up.
yeah.
But everything else there is,
So why don't we
Truly.
talk about the warrants, and then we will, then
Yeah,
we'll do the
sure.
consent agenda. So Paul,
Yeah,
do
so-
you have warrant approvals tonight?
I do, but I had similar questions about it. I mean, because you also, and Mark inferred it, but you also typically do not have discussions on things in the consent agenda.
Right.
Now, we always have you state the gifts and donations, right, in the past. So how we've typically done that wouldn't conform to a consent agenda, right? Because you always report that before we vote it. So that's another procedural thing, that if there's gifts and donations that we are approving, that needs to, how that's reported and how that's conveyed to us needs to be done in a way that it would match.
We never actually have discussion about it, so is it just?
No, but I think, Paul, if I'm following your question, right,
It's
it's like we need
the exact same thing
information in advance.
as my report.
Yeah.
I report it. Typically with consent agendas, there's no discussion on, if you want to have a discussion or if somebody wants to report or something on a topic in there before action is taken, you pull it out, right?
Right.
Well, the difference, Paul, is that we vote on the gifts and donations and we don't vote on the warrant approval.
But I just said now twice, typically with consent agendas,
say it a third
you do not discuss and report on things. You take it as a whole. You don't say, and this, otherwise it's a regular agenda item.
Yeah, no, I think we're saying the same thing. I mean, for right now, certainly the warrant approvals comes out, it's its own thing. I think Paul's point is simply if you're gonna approve a consent agenda, the ordinary, if nobody had anything to talk about on whatever the consent agenda includes, it would just be like a motion to approve the consent agenda, which in effect, in this case, would be an approval of the June 12th minutes without discussion, the July 23rd minutes without discussion, the approval of the grants or acceptance of the grants without discussion, the approval of student activity accounts, bank reconciliation without discussion, and the gifts and donations. And in order to be able to do that, like you often, I think Paul's point was, you often list for us, read the gifts and donations. Right.
Yeah.
We'd need that in advance so that we see it
Correct.
as part of our packet, and then we can vote on it because we have sufficient detail. Is that where you're going, Paul?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
there.
okay.
I mean, you're right.
Okay.
It is part of, I mean, that was sort of my point too with the
Right. If
the
it's
agenda
listed
and having
outside.
that Monday.
Right.
Is to make sure every document's in there. So, I mean, if it.
And it will be in there in advance.
Correct.
It won't be, we won't be seeing it at the meeting for the first time.
Correct. And,
Yeah.
and I've made, let me just, I don't know if we're getting off topic to a certain extent, but in the document, this is what you're going to see from here on out with gifts and donations.
Gotcha.
You will see this document
Right.
in the file folder.
Yeah,
So you can see everything.
right. So the only, I guess, if there's a preference to hear it listed at a meeting, you know, and move it somewhere else, otherwise it make the meeting more efficient to
Right,
just.
right.
Yeah, no, I think that's fine.
Okay.
So quick, just, 'cause I'm not a finance person,
Yeah, yeah.
so like when we look at things like the grants, like,
Yep.
you know, the title, all the grants.
Yep.
It's just helpful for me, like I don't necessarily, I can look at it, I'm fine
Yeah.
with the numbers, I trust you on the numbers.
Right.
But it's helpful for me to hear the explanation of what they are, cause
Yep.
I don't always remember what they all are,
Yep.
you know, just off the top of my head. So just for, this is kind of a point of order for me, if we're moving to more of a consent agenda thing, and I just wanna hear this explained, so that I know I have a better
Yep.
sense of what I'm voting on. Do I pull it out? Like, rather than just say, yes, I'm okay with the documents I was presented?
Yeah, and I think to Tina's point, it's typically more routine things. And while, yes, the grants are routine, but they're like annual routine. So maybe those, because I think to her point, if you said, hey, this grant, what's it for? Could I always tell you? Probably not. So maybe those might not be a consent agenda thing.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah.
Just because it's not, it's routine, but it's not frequent, right?
Sure.
Right.
And again, this is looking at the document I'm preparing and sent you this
Right.
time. I'm actually trying to outline, this is what how it's used.
Absolutely. That's why, and I haven't used an agenda like this before, so it's helpful to talk through what.
Yep.
And I like the changes, Jim. So
Yeah.
I don't want
I
it to just be
agree.
like poking holes and that's.
Oh,
not
no,
good.
no, fair enough.
Yeah.
Right. We just want to make sure that the topics that
Yeah.
belong there are there, and the
Right.
ones that don't are not there.
So I guess for tonight, do we want to go through them individually, because it sounds like there's already questions about the grants, warrant approvals is a separate item, and we can do the other 4 things there is by consent, but
Yeah, that's.
maybe just while we're getting it organized, we just go through each one individually.
We'll take the warrant ones, we'll pull it back up to the reports and presentations. It's a report. So why don't we deal with the warrant approval first? And then we can then do the grants, since you haven't had a chance to any of us haven't had a chance to understand what they are prior to this meeting. And then moving forward, I mean, we won't see those particular grants until next year, right?
Right.
Correct.
There might be others throughout the year. The deal is we're supposed to be aware of all the grants and approve them that come in throughout the year, but I think that there's different timing for different grants. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, what I've done in trying to organize this a little bit better.
Right.
And to streamline it, is I actually take the policy, and there's a link to the policy, so if anyone's wondering,
What
okay,
they are.
why are we reading the grants, et cetera, and the acceptance of grants, they can click on the policy, and it goes directly to the Ashland School Committee policy on acceptance of donations to school facilities.
Right.
Or,
Right. And that's why we're reviewing them. It's not because there's really gonna be any discussion about it. It's more because the policy requires that the grants pass through the school committee.
That we're just accepting the money.
Correct.
That's
Right.
okay.
Yeah, almost like the gifts and donations.
Right,
Like,
gotcha,
we're not
gotcha.
gonna not accept a grant, we're not
Yeah.
gonna challenge it, but we have the right to know what they are.
Right. And so to that point, because that puts it in a different context for me, to that point, maybe just add a little, Title I is for
Books. Or,
Right.
No, it is. I write that. Title I, use, teaching staff at Warren, Mendez, and Ashland Middle School. So we're paying salaries.
Okay, yeah. And
That's
I'll
in the
figure
document.
out a better way to phrase my question,
Okay.
because I'm not phrasing it correctly, but I hear what I see that too.
Okay.
Yeah, and the other thing is, it's also for public as well to
Yep.
be, if it's a routine thing we do all the time, then great, put it in there. But if it's not, and there's value to us, even if it's a 30-second explanation of something, then we should probably not have it in the consent agenda unless it's explicit enough on the agenda to be clear as to what we just voted, right?
Okay, so let's start with the warrant approvals.
All right. Between July 24th, 2024 and September 11th, 2024, I, Paul Kendall, authorized by my signature payables in the amount of $1,094,054.35. This includes general fund expenses of $600,866.20, revolving expenses of $476,240.51, and grant expenses of $16,947.64.
Thank you. And then for grants for tonight, or are we gonna keep it under the consent agenda, or did you wanna?
No, we can keep it under
Okay.
the consent agenda. I figured out how to better word my question, though.
Okay.
So for Title I, just in parentheses, federal or state grants offered to schools for student, to address needs for students or high
Gotcha.
needs
I gotcha.
populations.
Yep.
Title III,
Gotcha. Understood.
ELLs.
Yes.
Yep, understood.
Like,
Just in
elaborating on
parentheses.
these.
Correct.
Exactly.
Okay, beautiful.
That would
Got
put it in a better context for,
Beautiful.
just help me remember what they're for.
Yeah, I will add that to this
Okay.
document.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, and then is the best practice for me to list everything that's on the consent agenda before we vote again, or we
No,
already read it
I think
in the
it's-
beginning?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's listed on there, so if the warrant articles weren't there, I think a motion would be, I move to approve the consent agenda,
Right,
and that would cover everything. In this case, I'll make a motion.
okay.
I move to approve the consent agenda, items A, B, D, E, and F.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Roll
Aye
call,
for me.
please,
Roll
Ron.
call. Paul?
Oh, yep.
Aye.
Marcy?
Aye.
Tina?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Aye. Excellent, thank you.
And Jim, if it's working properly, a consent agenda shouldn't be 15 minutes.
Just night one, we're just getting used to the new routine.
It took about
Picky,
15
picky
though.
Paul.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
he knew we didn't want to talk about it.
You're a prophetic there, but,
Okay, first read of policies. I'll just give some background. The policy subcommittee did get together and started to review some policies. I don't know who was able to get to the attorney who came in and talked to the admin team, and we were invited. I was there. Was anybody else there?
Paul.
Paul, yes, sorry, Paul. That was a long time ago. So there are some changes in the law. So because of that, the policy has changed enough that we have to have two reads. Wellness, there's been a lot of changes to that policy, and I believe Jen Taylor is
Yep.
here to talk about that. And then same for the next one. So that is why they are on the agenda for two reads. If they're just little tweaks to policies, you will not see two reads. This is especially for Marcy, really for everybody, because we have not brought too many policies forward in a while. I mean, it used to be a regular thing on the agenda in the earlier years, and I think we will probably start bringing them back. So 2 reads for anything that's a new policy or changed significantly, 1 read for anything with little tweaks, and the policy subcommittee is going to start a process of reviewing the policies. But we'll start with the sexual harassment policy. And for that reason, I guess I should also add that it's then becomes more important to review it carefully before the meeting, because most of these policies, some of these policies are pages long, and we can't be figuring out what they say at the first read. Like, we should become prepared with comments. Is anyone, Jim, do you want to?
Sure, that's fine. ACAB, the sexual harassment policy, this is in direct, the Title IX, August 1st, Title IX regulations changed. And our policy did not represent the changes that were set forth in Title IX. So Jen King, our attorney, I had asked her to take our old policy. I will make a habit, and I did this time, of giving you the red line version as well as a clean copy of what it looks like after, because it's messy when you see all of the strike-throughs. But it's basically, she just took the policy and rewrote it to, to show how the regulations have changed and how it impacts Massachusetts, because it's different in other states. I feel confident and comfortable, obviously,
The subcommittee did go through it
with our
also.
attorney,
Yeah.
right? And we went through it as a subcommittee, but again, it's the first read. I know Mark has probably dealt with a little bit of this. I think what's one piece I do want to share with folks is, as we had the training, there were 2 pieces that came up. One was the Ashland Educators Association did ask to bargain language to ensure that this information was put into the faculty handbook appropriately. And the second thing is, Jen King had suggested that as we go through a process, if anyone has a Title IX complaint, that we separate some duties in terms of the respondent, the investigator, and then from there. And we have 2 folks who will be actually being coordinators, if you will. So not necessarily people who are investigating, but who will get the initial report. So one will be for students, and the other will be for faculty staff, the adults, if you will. So Brittany is that initial contact for students, and Christy Arnold is the person for adults. And that sort of will help streamline things to meet our needs.
So in other words, to make a complaint, that's who the complaint would go to, and then
Correct.
they would kind of manage the
Yeah,
process.
so in here, you'll see, again, when looking at the regulations itself, the receipt of the complaint, so you'll see that, Tina, right here, what's the process,
Right, yeah.
It's a little more, it's clearer than it was. Here's what we're looking for, and, but that's really, the first read is, it's direct language from our attorney. Nothing that we came up with.
Right. We did have some debate about some of it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we're obviously trusting our attorney to steer us in the right direction. We had some debate about language and so forth. Right. And bringing it back here, it's the committee that votes on these policies, so anybody always has the right to raise any concern about it. But in this particular case, especially where the attorney is making it consistent with the law, hopefully folks are comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, I will take a look at it. I will say that having spent way too much time this summer developing on policy like this with 3 other people in my office,
yeah,
it is, there's a lot of stuff in the regulations that's changed. It's got a complicated history that isn't worth getting into. So when you see a lot of stuff there and you go, do we really need that in a policy or whatever? The answer is probably yes. And we're still tweaking ours every time we read it. And so it's.
But it's the thing is, for this policy, whether it's the first read today and the second read on the next meeting, the 25th, it's critically important that we get through it, because it does impact our employee handbook and the bargaining component of it. We just want to make sure our policy is up to date.
So did the AEA raise any other concerns other than just wanting it included in those
Correct,
documents?
no other concerns. It was just a, MTA standard letter, just saying, make sure this is updated. Yeah.
Does anybody have any concerns or feedback that you want to give on the first read?
I honestly didn't go through it knowing it was a first read, and I didn't get the chance, but I will take a closer look. And
great.
Okay, so we're good for tonight, and then we'll take it on the second
So,
read.
so before we move on, just to give it a heads up, so that we'll have it on the next meeting. There's two related policies that we have. So there's AC-R, which currently has some definitions in and who the Title IX coordinators are and some legal references. So given how this is currently structured, that seems redundant and no longer necessary. So we'll have that on the next agenda to, once we vote the new one in, to remove that policy. And then there's ACA, which is a non-discrimination policy, which is the broader policy that is not sex-based. So there'll be some updates to that as well.
Well, just a general comment. I thought as you've worked through different policies, when we've come across the Rs, which are kind of more supposed to be administrative regulations, I thought we've been pulling those out of our policy manual because, like, the school committee sets the policy, but the regulations or implementation guidance is really sort of the superintendent's purview. Am I remembering that right, or did we decide not to do that?
I think because I've seen ours be different things. So I don't know that there's been a total consistency on what they meant. Like this one, it seemed to be, hey, don't modify the policy, put your references and your other things that may change, like the people in that policy, in that R, right? And then that's something that can change more frequently than the policy itself, things like that. But I've seen it in a couple different ways, so I don't even know if we can have a standard way to approach it, but we certainly look at them to see if they still matter, and it makes sense to have them separated
And
based
we had
on.
that conversation too, Mark, in our meeting, except for that, we are going along with, what MASC sends us, and that's how, some of them are coming from them still.
And
Yeah.
Jen King, I'm
Yeah.
still running the Rs by her as well.
Yeah.
So when Paul talks about removing that from the next meeting, Jen King weighed in on that.
Yeah, I think the R issue is really a matter of whether it's like something we vote on or whether it's something you do to implement the policy.
That was always my understanding, that
Yeah.
if it has an R, it's not school committee policy, it's direction to the administration.
Yeah, it's like stands for regulations, I
how to
think is the
implement
idea.
it. So I think that's where the difference is
Right,
that we
I
don't
agree.
vote on the R. But to Paul's point, if it's redundant, if it says the exact same thing, that's.
Yeah, I
already-
mean, the challenge is that that's not what the Rs have been. Like that one has definitions in it, it's like, well, you can't put something in our handbook that has a definition and say we shouldn't vote on it, right? It's not strictly these other things. And so, and if it should be that, then it has no place in our policy. It has a place in whatever proper place, whether it be a handbook, whether it be whatever. So
Yeah, it's just a thought to guess as you guys do your work.
yeah,
to
it's kludgy for sure, and I think there was some inconsistencies over the years with how MASC has done it. But in their defense, we also for the last few years have not upkept on the updates. So that's one of the things we're gonna.
Well, that's the other thing. It is probably time to take a deep dive into the manual as a whole and see what still fits with how we're operating and what doesn't, and so forth. But that's.
Yeah,
for another
and just
day.
Lori mentioned kind of the conversation. I think part of that does so that ACA is the general discrimination policy as opposed to the sex-based one. And the only thing that I think we had more than a 2-minute conversation on was in that third paragraph where it says where it is determined that inappropriate conduct, whether or not such conduct constitutes sex discrimination, has occurred, we will promptly eliminate blah blah. That's the only one that I had question on. Like, okay, that now is in this policy, but actually talks about something that, what we're going to do, even if it's not applicable to what the purpose of the policy is. And I'm not against it being there, just it left some questions for me. It's like, okay, determined by who? So say somebody's trying to be supportive and somebody says, yeah, that sounds inappropriate. Now somebody's going to hang their hat on that statement saying, you need to just stop this, even though maybe it's fine. I don't know. Right. So that was where I was. So there wasn't anything of substance, I don't think, relative to the policy, but that was probably
The discussion.
the longest discussion we had, kind of something like that.
All right, so no input for the first read. Come back next time and we'll.
Just read it.
Right. Jen Taylor, thank you for your patience. Wellness, there's a wellness subcommittee by law. I'm on it, with Jen leads it, and there were some significant changes there with input from assistants that Jen had. Jen, you can fill everybody in. I won't steal your thunder.
Sure.
Thanks.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Yes, so part of our job as the wellness subcommittee is to look at the local wellness policy. Every 3 years, we have to use the wellness school assessment tool and go through the policy and basically score each part of it. Any areas that score a 0, meaning we do not have it included in our policy, we need to make sure we include those pieces. This is something that the Department of Elementary and Secondary Ed requires us to do. And our Director of Nutrition Services has to submit our local wellness policy to DESE every year, and they look through to make sure that we have all of those elements in there. So we had a consultant working with us this year to help us go through the school wellness assessment tool and revise our policy. So we did, as Lori said, we did significantly revise it. We basically started from scratch, as you can see from the red line to the
I'll pull that up. Yeah, Jen, just to. So the entire, so this was the original wellness policy, ADF. It's all removed.
Was this one in our packet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should be able to click on the link too. It should hop right into it.
Try that.
Go ahead. Sorry, Jen.
Oh, no, that's okay. So
And then
so
this is the
we
revised. Yeah.
we completely started from scratch. The consultant had given us 2 model districts in Massachusetts, neighboring districts to us, and that had already been approved by DESE and had gone through working with the consultant. So we knew that they were policies that would be approved and met all of the requirements of the law. And so we used those to help us craft this new policy and using the assessment tool. I think that our subcommittee agreed that this was just a more organized way of making sure that we were addressing all of the areas that DESE requires that we address. So that's why you see such a difference from the previous policy to the current one. And I don't know if I said this before, but DESE has already approved our policy, or our proposed new policy, and said that it meets all of their requirements.
So I think that's important, Jen, to reiterate that the policy that you have before you after the clean copy has been approved by the Department of Ed. Like that's where, that's one of the things we had to make sure that policy met their standards. So.
But you still vote on it, so if you have any feedback.
Yeah. No, the struggle I was having is it didn't appear to be attached to the PDF that Gretchen sends out, and that's what I was looking at. So I didn't see it.
Oh, I got you. No, that's why I asked for Mondays on the PDF, because she sent the PDF out before I had a chance to have everything in the folder. So if you go to the agenda in the folder, it's all attached.
Yeah, and then I didn't get access to it.
Yep,
so
no worries.
I'll figure it out.
I have a hard
That's all
copy, think.
That's
I
all
think.
right. I'll figure it out.
She's old school.
First day of school this year,
Yes.
I'm just not prepared yet.
So the last part is the guidelines for management of life-threatening allergies, Jen.
Yep.
Again, first read because there were significant adjustments.
Part of our job is to look at any policies that relate to health and wellness that the committee wants to review and look at. So the nurses and nutrition services felt it was really important to update the life-threatening allergies policy because they felt that things have significantly changed since the last time that it was updated. So the nurses and our director of nutrition really took this on and outside of our meetings worked on this. And as you can see with what Jim just put up, they took out and added and changed the wording of quite a bit of this policy. I think they just wanted to make it very clear what to everyone what the responsibilities of all the different parties are. I think that one of the biggest things that I heard from the parents we have to have parents on our wellness subcommittee, the parents on our committee, and the nursing staff was just, they wanted to make it very clear in each building what the food policy is, because we do have, a high number of students with life-threatening allergies, and we need to really take that seriously. So I think that was sort of the impetus behind really kind of making the policy a little bit stronger. So there were quite a few changes in there. And I didn't have any hand in writing this one. This was all from the nurses and the nutrition director.
Any questions or input on that one?
When I first read it, the one thing that popped out to me is the bullet for under parents, when possible, make arrangements to be on field trips, be where no Benadryl is available on field trips. So, and I don't disagree that it's important to inform parents of this and let them know. Just the way that it's worded, feels exclusionary to me a little bit. I can see some parents raising an issue with it, and just thinking about the wording in terms of be aware that and whatnot, kind of making sure that we're informing parents that Benadryl is not available, because obviously we cannot administer over-the-counter drugs without a nurse. Nurses are not available on all field trips. Obviously, there are teachers trained in EpiPens. EpiPens can be used by those trained by EpiPens, but Benadryl obviously is different. So just a thought. I don't have a suggestion for rewording it, but maybe with greater explanation of the why.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
So yes, absolutely, and I think we can certainly ask, Nancy or one of the nurse leaders to come in when we have a conversation about this.
Yeah.
Because I think it was worded when I looked at the other version, I feel like it was worded a little nicer in a little nicer way last time, and I don't know why. So I think that is a good question that we can.
Well, just kind of with more details of the why in terms of who's allowed to give out Benadryl. A teacher can't just carry it and give it to you. They're legally not allowed to do that. So just a little bit more context is the why. I think might be helpful. But it doesn't need a lot of change. But.
Maybe just like, because we are not permitted to bring Benadryl, please consider attending with medication if you feel your child might need it. Something
like that. Or, kind of be aware that no Benadryl is available on field trips, as teachers are not legally allowed to administer over-the-counter drugs.
Okay.
Something
Yep.
like
Yep.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I can go back and have a look at it. It's fine.
Excellent. Anything else?
No.
All right, good. Jen, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jen.
Have a nice night.
You too. Thanks for your patience.
No
So
problem.
Pointing you to the board of directors of the Accept Collaborative.
Right. You are.
For the 10th
Unless somebody
straight
here
year.
wants to do it.
For the 10th straight year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
11.
Whatever it is, 11.
So, and again, this is, I'm going to get in the habit of trying to provide you the background
Right.
of such as this appointment, which we do every year. So it would be in your things, but again, in accordance with Chapter 43 of the Acts of 2012, school committees must annually appoint a representative to the ACCEPT Collaborative. Traditionally, this has been the superintendent of schools, and I'm just requesting that the school committee appoint me as a representative so I can ship that over to the ACCEPT Collaborative, and they have every superintendent on the collaborative board of directors has to do this annually. So that's all it is.
Not to beat a dead horse, but that would probably be a great consent agenda.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah, because I mean, you can describe it just like that.
Yep.
You know, in that
You'll
agenda
have
item, and we're done.
That's perfect.
But for now, I'll move to
But
appoint.
for now, it's a discussion
For now, so
topic.
moved.
Anyone want to discuss it?
Yeah.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call.
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Marcy?
Aye.
Tina?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Lori? Aye.
Thank you. I'm
Excellent.
really excited about it.
Awesome. We'll have the best year ever. All right, it's time for school committee member updates. So at the end of the meeting, we all go around and give updates about what's we've done in the community or what's going on in school, and you are more than welcome, and we welcome it, for you to share something with us about how it's going at the beginning of the school year, anything you want to share with us. So we'll start with you.
So I think it's been a great school year so far. Athletics are starting. Everyone's excited about that. There haven't been any major problems in the high school that I know of yet, so that's always a good thing. And I think everyone's starting to get into a routine, so it's going to be a good year.
Are you a senior?
I'm a junior.
You're a junior.
Yeah.
Awesome. Marcy, anything to share? Tina, I know it's meeting one, so
Yeah.
most of us have been out of the
Not
loop
yet,
for a
nope.
while. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there was something, but sure not coming to me right now, so I'll pass.
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier. Paul and I did go to the meeting about the new sexual harassment rules. But other than that, I have not done anything else. Paul, anything you want to add?
No. I'm sure there's stuff, Jim or Mike, from things that were happening over the summer, but I can't remember any of them.
Cool. All right, guess where we are? Who's got a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Is it roll
Great.
call?
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Welcome back.
Connor.
Thank you.
Okay, beautiful.
Done.
We're good, Abhishek.
Abhishek, you survived your first one.
Yeah.